The Facebook group, Heartwiring Women, is a series of live conversations between two certified life coaches from two different cultures, from two different countries, from two different continents, united in one purpose, which is to share universal truth that enables women to heal their emotional bodies, expressing more of their own divinity. My name is Robin Johnson, and I am one of your co-hosts. My story is typical. I grew up the product of a divorce, which left me with some distorted perceptions of reality. I became the victim of sexual assaults and emotional abuse. Over time, all I wanted to know was, how do we live in oneness with one another? One way to do that, I thought, would be to study the world's religions. So I did, one at a time, studied all different world religions, and then I followed that up with travel to those countries, ultimately visiting more than 40 countries. I found after all of that, what really blocked me from living in my own divinity was the limiting human beliefs that come out of the trauma and then the outdated behaviors that I was locked into. I documented my spiritual journey in two books. The first one, Awakening of a Chocolate Mystic, and the second one, ETA to Oneness, A Journey to Spiritual Awakening. I currently provide individual and group coaching. You can visit my website at www.eta2oneness. Again, www.eta, the number 2, followed by the word oneness.com. I am pleased to introduce you to Adele Green, who is the other co-host, so she can tell you a little about herself. Adele?
Thank you, Robin. So most of you know me as Adele Green, and I've had a series of traumatic life events that drove my need to connect to myself from a deep emotional place that is authentic. And that led to a book that I published, which is Can You See Me Naked? Grow in a Conscious Relationship, and a podcast called Naked with Adele, which gives a voice to the emerging feminine and leading to learning about feminine leadership skills. And I've spent half my career working as a transformation coach, helping women in transition and really speaking for the emerging feminine. And you can find my work on adele-green.com. And all of that has been for what we're doing now, because the time has now come to put all those things we've been learning into practice and living it.
Thank you, Adele. So the question is, what is this new Facebook group, Heartwiring Women, and why discuss this topic now? For me, I believe that as women, we are already hardwired. We're hardwired for love. We're hardwired for inclusion. We're hardwired for compassion. We're hardwired for understanding. However, in today's world, it doesn't run on that kind of feminine hardwired energy. Today's world seems to run more on masculine energy, which is more confrontational, aggressive, combative, individualistic. So as women, in order for us to hold our heart-wired space, we have to be bolder, we have to be braver, because there's a new world that needs to emerge where there is equity and fairness and collaboration, which will allow everyone to reach their full potential. So women as influencers, we are the ones who have to learn to hold that space. We have to learn to control the narrative about what it means to lead from our hearts. Often, women react with emotion, It is because we instinctively know what is right and what is wrong, and we seek to express it. Unfortunately, too often we are not listened to, so we become more expressive. We change our pitch, we change our tone to get attention from those who are not responsive to our needs. And then we get labeled as being overly emotional. As women, we've got to push through some things. We've got to begin to operate in our hardwired space, but from a place of confidence and equanimity. And that only comes if you're able to heal your emotional body. Now, and I've been inspired to really step into this place by a new book that's out. The book is called Our Moment of Choice, and it's put out by Diane Williams, the Source of Synergy Foundation, where there are 43 authors who have come together to talk about the new emerging world from a spiritual perspective, from a scientific perspective, and all of them are saying the same thing. Women need to be leading from the heart-centered place because the world is moving into a place of collaboration as opposed to confrontation. And if we don't do this, then we will all be in jeopardy for our own survival. So I am so excited that women get to lead on this. Women get to be the leaders in this new world that is being created. So Adele, talk to me. What is this new Facebook group, Heartwiring Women, and why discuss this now?
The first thing that comes up when you say that is that we need to realize that feelings and emotions are two separate things. Emotions relate to our emotional body and all these things that trigger us. And feelings is more related and closely related to that soft voice from our own souls that guide us with the wiring that we came here for. And then we got to learn all this stuff. And most of this we know in principle, but where we're going, the world that we need to create in order to survive and evolve into this whole new world that works on collaboration, everybody talks about and nobody actually does because the environment is never ready for it, but they think they are. I think I am. We think we are. We need to actually create that. And to do that, a key component would be understanding the difference, because the one comes from the authentic self, the other one comes from this image that we project of who we are with all its emotional layers. And I'm a good one to speak of it because I spend a lifetime with intensity and emotional layering, and that seems to be my battle no matter what I accomplish, always triggered by this thing. So the bottom line is when we can come to a place of emotional healing, we won't always be triggered. It will be there, but we will be detached from it. And we will still be able to be completely connected to that voice inside of us that guides us. Some of us hear it, some of us see and experience things which we know is not attached to our image that we project of ourselves. You know what is authentic. You know exactly what it is that you're connected to. So we want to close that gap of and know the difference between the two, because in that space that we are wired to come here with, we connect to each other through our hearts, not our stories, not our words. In fact, the words that we use are powered by what we feel. So even if you listen to this conversation right now, you're going to feel rather than actually compute the words. We power it through our hearts, if we will. So Heartwiring Women is about connecting to that part of us that is already there. We just need to remove the stuff that's in the way and remove it to such an extent that when we lead, when we do things, when we connect to each other, it's real, undistorted, and truthful. And all those values, supported by all the values that Robin spoke of, but living it, being it, and not structures and plans. Boy, and I love that world, you know, with all those things and all the words we label it with. We need that world in order to communicate with each other, but we need to power it with what is real and authentic. So Heartwiring Women is about activating that part of us to show up more of the time. And as a transformation coach, I know it means that we won't get it done from nothing to everything in one go. It's creating another dot on the right side of the line every time that you decide to show up in the world. It's a process, and we need to do it. We can do it better as a community. So that's why the group. It's not me, it's not Robin, it's not you as an individual. It's all of us put together that can support each other to show up like this more. Not doing it for each other either, and not fixing anybody either. It's just choosing to show up as this part of us together and almost creating a group of practice, if you will. So, and we intend to address this in a few layers. We will, and Robin will speak to us more about that.
Okay, thank you, Adele. Well said. We're going to cover these concepts, these topics, in a series of three conversations. The first conversation is entitled Healing Ourselves, and we're going to have that conversation on Friday, October 2nd at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time or New York City time zone. And then we're going to follow that up with a conversation about liberating human potential. And then we're going to close that part 3 of the series with a conversation on the role of intuition. So we hope that all of you will be available to stay tuned, join in, and participate in what we're going to do. We're going to do them as a series of Zoom calls, and we will be having them live on Facebook. We will be requesting all of you to send questions to us that we can also answer. So send any questions via our postings at our Facebook group, Heartwiring Women, and we will be sure to answer the questions that you submit to us. Do you have anything else you'd like to add, Adele, before we close?
I just want to say to everybody, I know you've got lots to do. We are busy women. A lot of the people that would be attracted to this work are influencers, and you've got your own stuff going on. Look at this as an inspiration for what you're going to have to do next. So get involved, ask questions, make this relatable to your own world, because it is not separate. I promise you, no matter which topic you pick, you're going to be able to work right into those triggers and right from the word go, be able to work with them. This is not just going to be a thing about sharing tools, and all of us have our own tools already. This is going to be more about where you need to focus next. It's like your ball is not going to change, but you know those big electricity balls that you get, you're going to put your finger right on the dot of where is the most optimal place for you to be right now to build communities of your own. This is the call to action out there, and the whole world is shouting at us right now. Do it now. If you don't do it, you are going to break apart. The systems are breaking, and it's making space for what is coming. You can be part of the new solution. And I don't pretend to know what it is, but this process, these talks that we have, will indicate to you where is your role right now to connect, and what is it that you need to build in the communities where you already are part of. We're not reaching out to the whole world with this, although it's open. We're reaching out to our own direct networks right now, and you are part of that. So you can choose to get on board now already, or you can wait for later. But, that's up to you. You know what works best for you. But get involved now, because this is the thing. All of us are good at solving problems in our own way. This is not about getting better at it. This is about all of us doing this now to build the energy to help the whole of the human race becoming better at what we do. So this time around, we can create a system that can sustain the next level of evolution, because guys, that's where we are. I just want to share one quick thing. I had a dream many years ago. Well, you could call it a dream, I guess, but Spirit talks to me often in dream space. And it was at that stage me becoming aware of what happened with Lemuria and what happened with Atlantis and all those places. And just for the record, I'm living in what is left of Lemuria now, which is in Kauai, in Hawaii. And as much as they were a wonderful people doing wonderful things, it was not enough for them to be able to evolve to the next level. Nor was Atlantis. One had too much feminine energy, one had too much masculine energy. So this time around, we got to get it right. We got to get the balance right. And that's what they showed me. What we do has to match what we feel. And this is what we need. And the guys that comes from the book, A Moment of, is it The Moment of Choice?
Our moment of choice.
Our moment of choice. They are saying that the world is good at fixing problems one at a time. They're brilliant at it. You know, that little focus point. But what we're not brilliant at is doing layers and layers and layers of this at the same time. And what have we got now, other than everything breaking apart? The world economy, the world is in crisis. We have health issues. We have so many issues of countries not surviving, things collapsing, falling apart. I'm sure that you have in your own life. I know Robin has major things transitioning and layers of it, and so do I. So if we want to survive this as a whole human species, we got to do it in ourselves. We got to do it in our immediate communities. And then we got to figure out how to stay connected in the process so we can all hold the energy of what we need to build a new type of community. We need a membrane around all of us sticking together so we can create a brand new organism to survive. So
Thank you, Adele. That was well said. And I just want to piggyback a little bit on what you said as we close. The reason that we can do one problem at a time, the reason that is no longer sufficient is because the problems are complex and interrelated. So many of the authors have said, in order to solve the problems, as Einstein said, you can't solve the problem with the same mind that created it. So in order to solve the problems that are facing humanity today, they must come out of the unknown, out of the place of spirit, because the problem has to be bigger than who we are and what we already know. And if you don't open your heart space, you can't get the information for what it is you need to do to move that process forward individually, which adds to the collective. So you're right, we all have a role to play to move the world forward. But if we don't clear our heart space, all of the information we then get, it's very distorted. And so we have to be open so that we can use our hearts and our minds together to create what it is we are here to create. So
yes,
thank you, my sister, and we hope that everybody joins us next week, Friday, October 2nd, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, for more of this kind of conversation. You don't want to miss it.
thank you, Robin.